Between the 1500s and the 1800s, three continents, Europe, Africa, and the Americas, were connected by a huge trade system. European ships carried goods to Africa. In return, enslaved Africans were taken across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. This formed a trading route called the Triangular Trade. This journey was brutal, and many did not survive.
The part of the journey from Africa to the Americas was called the Middle Passage. Slaves were packed tightly into ships with little food, no freedom, and no fresh air. Many got sick. About 1 out of every 5 people died during the trip.
Those who survived were sold at auctions. Families were separated. Many slaves were forced to work on farms called plantations, growing sugar, tobacco, or cotton. They worked from sunrise to sunset with very little rest or food. Some tried to escape, and many resisted in small ways by learning in secret to keep their culture alive.
Africans were stolen by Africans and sold to the Europeans in exchange for textiles, guns, and other goods. Only about 5% of the slaves went to Americas. The rest of them went to South America, Cuba, and Europe. Slaves lived under harsh conditions on the ships with about 4 square feet of space. They had less space than a dead man in his coffin. This was a reform and was a better version of what was happening before. The conditions were very bad. Most slaves worked as agricultural laborers. Even though some had other jobs, slaves were not often treated like humans. Most slaves were sent to Cuba and Brazil, working planting and harvesting and sugar dawn till dusk every day. The worst part of the job was carrying 80 pounds of manure on top of their head up and down hilly terrain. Most slaves living in Brazil died. Their maximum life expectancy was 23 years old, but conditions were better in the U.S. and Europe. This may seem like a good thing, but the slave owners knew that if they kept their slaves healthier, they would survive and they would reproduce and make them new slaves they could use as labor. Enslaved people didn't give up. Some rebelled, others escaped their secret roots. Over time, more people spoke out against slavery. Leaders like Olaudah Equiano, Harriet Tubman, and Frederick Douglass helped raise awareness. Countries began to pass laws to end slavery. Britain in 1807, the U.S. in 1865 banned slavery.
After slavery ended, African descendants faced racism, unfair laws, and violence. Today, people continue to fight for justice and equality. The effects of slavery are still seen in schools, jobs, and neighborhoods. That is why it's important to learn this history, so we can change the future.